Ziegler, the Alpha Dawg, and this is the Dawg Pound. We've got a special guest panel today. I got a lot of history with everybody on the panel today, and we've got some spectacular guests. Wait till you see and hear what we've got today. So anyway, we're going to start out with my good friend, the king of Highline, Patrick O'Brien.
Hey, Jim. Welcome to all the new panelists. It's like a legacy group here today, Jim. I like this. I like this a lot.
Absolutely. We got some heavy hitters here today. I mean, just right out of the ballpark, heavy hitters. And one of my best old friends, I mean, we go way back, DJ Heller from NCM and Associates 20 Group moderator. Hello, big guy.
How we doing, Jim? Great to see you again.
Oh, it's always good to see you. We go back to when we both had hair and we were so young, just unbelievable.
Yeah, you're looking great.
Okay. One of the most brilliant women in automotive. I'm talking about this woman does it all. Consultant. How many stores you working with right now, Jennifer?
In total?
Yeah.
It's close to 100 now, Jim.
Close to 100. I mean, I wish I had your money. You are doing so well. Jennifer
Listen,
Briggs.
weddings are expensive.
Weddings are expensive. Okay.
Yeah.
Remind him if he doesn't treat you well, I'm heavily armed.
Oh. That won't be an issue. You've got to meet him virtually.
People in line for that.
And you talk about some legacy, some history. Good friend of mine. I mean, we go way back, and we're still in contact regularly. And the entrepreneur that you can't tell what he's up to lately, Brett Sutherlin.
Jim, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Look forward to the conversation.
I'm looking forward to it. And talking about legacy, back to the 80s and the 90s, another good friend of mine, Jeff Schreier. Mega dealer, used car mogul in Omaha, Nebraska. How you doing, big guy?
I'm good. Thanks for the invite. Looking forward.
Well, certainly looking forward. You haven't changed a bit. we got a couple stories. And what would the Dawg Pound be without the Mad Russian? Where are you today, big guy? Are you in Spain? You in New York? You in the Kremlin? Where are you?
I am in Spain, allegedly.
Allegedly in Spain. Okay, fantastic. Anything new? Are your books selling?
I mean, listen, books are doing great. I think I told you. I never wrote the books to make any money. I just wanted to get the message out so dealers can do better. And what I do for a living is F&I and reinsurance. But books definitely help. And I hope they do help other dealers just to see the light.
Well, actually, you are the reinsurance king, and I'm glad you're here. And the Queen of BDC. Anytime you want to pump up your BDC and get the huge numbers and the synergies between the sales department and the BDC, if you want to make a BDC sing, hum, this is the woman, Bobbie Herron.
Wow, that was a great intro. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
It's well deserved. I mean, we got a heavyweight panel here today. Look at the people.
Panel.
Oh, unbelievable. Okay. Now, Brett Sutherlin, how many Nissan stores do you guys have right now?
We have 7 Nissan stores and then 5 other.
Okay, so you just got back from a general managers meeting, and I'm going to really count on you and DJ today to talk. What was the big subject in your GM meeting last week?
So the big subject is, as we're seeing Nissan volume in some stores increase, meaning the amount of inventory that we're getting, it's really when to pull back on used cars. Because, Jim, I've done this for a very long time, as you know my entire family. We're in a position right now where some used cars are bringing over MSRP. What do you do not to lose business, but to protect yourself in the event of the inevitable, which is the bottom falling out of the used car market from where it's currently at? I mean,
it's going to crash. It is going to crash.
So
everybody's in agreement that it's got to end sometime. So what solutions did you come up with?
What we're doing is we use data quite heavily with my background in Fusion Zone and the different things that I've done from a digital perspective. We're keeping tabs on the inventory with when the date it's going to arrive. And we are absolutely starting to pull back on some inventory that we're seeing arriving more frequently. We're going to be putting less money in some of those cars because, Jim, you've done this for a very long time. If you don't watch this, all the money, which is record profits that you've made right now, is going to go right back out the door with water and inventory.
I could see that. And what I'm seeing right now is when the chip shortage slows down or ends, it's going to cause a crash in the industry because we've been selling these cars for over sticker. We've been loading them up. And those people are going to come back on us with 84-month loans that bought the car for $15,000 over sticker, $10,000, $5,000, depending on, these people are coming back to us. They're not going to be happy. We're not going to be able to get them out of it. So, I've been, talking about that we're going to have to basically get more involved in leasing again.
Oh, yeah. No, Jim, can you imagine? I was with Greg Miller of the son of the Larry Miller Group in Park City the other day. Can you imagine going in? They're getting $30,000 and $40,000 over sticker for new Cadillac Escalades. Can you start to imagine the amount of negative equity someone's going to have in that car come 2 years?
Oh, they're gonna die.
Yeah, they're just running around pumping their chest like they're heroes. Oh my God, we're gross. This and we're killing it. Like, no, you're weak and you're making it where you're not going to be able to sell cars again in 2 years.
Okay, I'm seeing DJ over here. DJ, you've got the NCM 20 groups. What's a hot topic?
Well, I think what he talked about right there is one of the main hot topics is the fact with the situation with the new vehicle inventories and we have to have vehicles to sell with morale and to put gross on the books to cover expenses. Mm-hmm. At what point do we pull back? At what point do we stop buying potentially from all the different sources? So we spend a lot of time talking about the auctions versus trade-ins versus street purchases from our service drives, and I really think that, what you guys are talking about is right on. I'm not, most of the groups that I've got, the GM groups and the Honda groups, they're still dealing with a major new vehicle inventory situation. Right. Okay. So Nissan's maybe a little bit different right now, but we got to be better at acquiring vehicles without pressing the button or going to the auction, putting our hand up.
Yes. And that's nothing new. I think we see all these folks who are having this situational success because of the inflation in the market with the shortness of inventory. But if you are still just going to auction or buying on Smart Auction or whatever, and you don't have an acquisition strategy, in general, it's going to be an issue. But I think the biggest component is going to be when we start trying to take some of these units that were sold so much over back in. And I think that's where it does actually equate to what we saw back in 08 and 09, overstating all those residuals on the leases. At least I was in a group that we were GMC, Cadillac, Oldsmobile, Pontiac, and Chevrolet at that time. So I think about how overstated those residuals were and where that put us from a crunch. These folks who are situationally successful right now are definitely playing the short game. And that's not where you want to be because we're about ready to come to the end of that rope.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask Jeff Schreier. Jeff, how hard is it to get pre-owned inventory?
It's been very, very difficult. I haven't bought at the auction or through Smart Auction, and since the whole pandemic started, the majority of my stuff is off the streets. Been really working that hard. I do all day inventory.
I was talking to it. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to follow up because Jeff and I are friends and we talk a lot. And think about that for a second. And we got an audience here of potential new car employees and used car employees. It doesn't matter, but this is an independent used car operation that doesn't have new vehicles to sell or potentially even a large service drive. They're doing a great job of not having to buy at the auction. And dealerships are out there buying at the auction when they don't have to be. We can be better at this.
Well, I was talking to a dealer this past week. I was doing a digital dealer promo, and one of the dealers on there from Country Hill Motors was
Yeah,
saying,
Danny.
"What's that?"
His name's Danny. I can't say his
Danny.
last
I can't. I'll figure Danny's last name in a minute. Danny buys 100 cars a month. He's a big independent dealer. Buys 100 cars a month on social media, other off the street, basically.
Private owner acquisition.
Private owner acquisition. He is absolutely incredible. So
The technology is really cool. And I think that what's nice about it is it takes what some of us have been doing manually, like my entire career in operations, I've been buying out of the service lane. Well, I start when you could call out of the phone book back in the day, trying to buy cars, just randomly running through it. So I was really impressed because it ties in those private listings from a lot of different places and marketplaces, puts it into one dashboard. So
What is the name of his program?
I was going to say, what is this, Jennifer?
It's called VinQ.
VinQ, CUE.
I am going to be putting this in place as soon as I can.
It's called VinQ. He's speaking at Digital Dealer. And he is acquiring 100 cars a month for his independent store from the public.
And I didn't pay a lot of attention because that technology, he has like 3 different things. Like it can tie into the digital marketing. It can do this, it can do that. But I was most interested in acquisition. It even comes with structure, pay plan recommendations for these folks who are going to be calling these private owners. It really is a complete package for an acquisition solution. So if you are in a pinch and you don't have a way to set that up internally, or you don't want to do it manually, you should do a demo. I was impressed. That doesn't happen very often.
You don't ever say you're impressed. This woman can program anybody's CRM. I mean, she can. When she talks about technology, she's the go-to expert.
Yeah, and she can smell BS from a vendor a mile away too. So don't try that nonsense either.
I don't think there's that much BS from vendors happening right now.
Listen, let's not have too much of a love history. You can like hire and work with her, but she already has a best friend, so there's not a negotiation there. So,
Okay.
Make sure we're real clear.
Yeah, she does charge a bit. So it's you get what
you'll make it back so many times.
100%.
Okay, let me jump on Brett a second again. Brett, I just read where Cox companies, and I want to disclaim in advance, I'm not a fan of Cox companies in any way, but they do have all the data.
Yeah,
they've got the data. And now Cox is saying unequivocally that we're going to have the lowest sales and the biggest crash since the recession of 2008. Now, I mean, that's a pretty definitive statement. What do you think?
It sure is. I mean, I think we're going to go back to how dealers deal with the crash of the used cars. You know, when I was talking to DJ earlier, Nissan is surely in short supply. We have purchased some Nissan dealerships in fairly recently and have a larger allocation coming, and we're dividing that inventory up amongst the 7 stores. So, Jim, I think if you don't handle this time correctly right now, it could very well be the case. I saw someone put up a comment about Gap companies. They're going to have some big troubles. I mean, there is a lot riding on the situation we have right now with used cars, and how this plays out and how smart dealers are in dealing with this is going to be, in my opinion, the determining factor whether what Cox is saying is true.
I'm afraid of it. What are you hearing, DJ?
Well, I'm probably a little more bullish on this. I do think that we've gotten ourselves into a situation where we've gotten into some bad habits because of the profits that have happened over the last year and a half. We've inflated our employees a little bit, and we haven't paid attention to some of the expenses that we should. Certainly new vehicle profits are probably about 50% of the dealership profits right now, which isn't reality. So if you take all that into account, yeah, you can kind of see where they're coming from on this. But I think there's more underlying issues here. You know, we're wholesaling about 40% of our used cars right now, and I think that's a problem. You know, I think the easy money, go grab that quick 1,000, you know, because recon's too slow. That's what we talk about in meetings is
Yep.
how can we come out of this better than what we came into this, you know, and it's a blip in the radar. I don't see us going back to the deep recession of 08. I just don't.
Well, Cox sort of does. Max, you got an opinion on this?
So I think, right, there's we can talk about dealers being smart and trying to private owner acquisition. That's like an SAT word, right? I mean, guys, let's get real here, right? This fear of missing out, right? Of course, I'm going to go and overpay for this used car because I need to sell it because I'm living through the times when I can, you know, make $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 gross profit on a deal, you know. And yes, people do live for today, right? And to your point about Cox, right? I'm no economist, right? So it's very difficult for me to predict the future. But I see a clear parallel with 2008 with mortgage-backed securities, when every investment bank was addicted to selling mortgage-backed securities, right? And out of fear of missing out because everybody else was doing it and making money. But they all understood, right, that at some point when the music is going to stop playing, somebody will be holding this bag, right? And the last person to hold the bag is going to go under. And you had Lehman Brothers and Bear Stearns, you know, 2-century-old institutions go under. So don't be surprised when a huge amount of dealers is going to go under unless they take the profit that they make today and set aside at least 50 to 60% for the rainy day in order to offset this collapse, imminent collapse, right? And this is the only way for them to fortify their balance sheets. Anything else is a pure fantasy.
Okay, now you're the F&I product guru. This is a statement just came across. What do you think?
I agree with it wholeheartedly.
Brett Sutherlin basically alluded to this earlier. The gap issues are going to be really, really strong because, you know, you're covering the negative equity, and the other problem is people aren't just having negative equity in what we're selling them. They traded in a car with negative equity, and we financed the negative equity on top of the new negative equity.
Right. So I will say two things. First, see what kind of F&I provider you're dealing with, because not all of them are created equal. You know, see who the underwriter is, and the second point is to make sure that you sell gap coverage with the most loan to value built into it. Because if you're going to be selling 125% LTV gap, none of it is going to work for you, right? Because your customers will end up hating you for selling that product. It's basically a defective product. If you're charging somebody $10,000 over sticker, 125% LTV is absolutely meaningless. And
there's a lot of 125 LTV out there right now. I see a lot of dealers selling it, and some of the biggest providers, well,
because it's $2 less, right?
I'm not going to mention this. I'm not going to mention the name of the South Florida providers that are selling that. But okay. Now, one of the other issues. Recently, Cox Corporations. There's Cox again. Cox Corporation comes up and says that they're going to require their employees to be vaccinated. Now, before we get into this discussion, General Motors is considering it. Ford is looking for mask and vax requirements. Everybody's discussing it right now. So, me personally, I've just had my third shot. I'm a believer in it, and I'm sort of upset with people that won't get vaccinated, but that's my opinion. I'm not going to make them do that.
Right.
Where are we going to go with this, guys? Anybody jump in?
Well, there's going to be a penalty for companies over a certain size.
Yeah.
They either have a mandate or they require weekly testing of the non-vaccinated. That's what I'm hearing coming down from Capitol Hill. So, of course, if there is going to be a cost associated with it for that company, then it gets out of where it's a matter of opinion and it's a matter of business. So I think that's why you see some of these companies making these statements and moving that direction, is because they want to avoid having fines for not following federal compliance.
And here's the thing right now, like Jennifer said, it's for 100 or more. But depending on how that actually works out and how this all kind of shakes out, it could be next year, it could be 50 or more employees. It could go to 25 or more employees.
Well, it can right now.
20 more employees eventually, which then it starts getting down from just the big groups, but now to these smaller dealerships like myself, like DJ, like our stores are going to be affected by that eventually if we don't get this under control.
Now, some of the big non-automotive,
because you guys are about to cause a firestorm. So let's be real clear in what you're talking about when you're talking about it, so we don't have any miscommunication. There is a difference between a federal mandate that requires a choice to be made between a vaccine and testing, and a business deciding, regardless of size, that they want to install the same type of choice or something similar. These aren't the same things. So let's be real clear with the audience, so this doesn't become something that it's not.
Well, this isn't our opinions. I mean, I want to get that clear, because if it was my opinion, we'd tie you up, hold you down, and make you get vaccinated. But that's just my opinion. Yeah, you know. But one of the things that's come out lately is that they're saying they're going to charge a higher insurance premium to non-vaccinated people. Mm-hmm. Now that's come out. Anybody jump in on that? Let me get DJ in on that. DJ, what's the talk in the 20 groups?
Well, I think the big issue is the one position in the dealership that they're most concerned about losing, and that's the one that we're having the hardest time finding. That's technicians, and those are the ones that kind of work on their own in the back. And you lose 2 or 3 technicians out of a shop that has 20 or 25, that's a big impact to the overall performance of the shop. And that's real. It doesn't matter what we all believe in. At the end of the day, if it is 100 threshold, let's just say it stays there, and you have more than 100, that's a recruiting pitch for somebody that's got 85 employees. Hey, just come work over here. We're not going to deal with this. And I think that's where the dealers are and the GMs are looking at this, like the impact of the store. We can't lose technicians.
We can't lose
anybody.
I confirm 100% with what you're saying. We had people come and offer vaccinations, put an incentive for people to get vaccinated at Sutherlin Nissan Mall, Georgia. And out of it, we have 22 technicians, 13 are not vaccinated and won't get vaccinated. We cannot lose 13 technicians right now.
No, you couldn't possibly, So, I'm not saying anybody should force the people to be vaccinated. What's the answer?
It's the cost of doing business. I mean, I don't know how that change was with any other tax or fine or fee that we'd get from a federal compliance. And maybe it's because, like, I'm thinking back to my oil and gas days where we paid a lot in fees if you were out of compliance. So it's a cost of doing business one way or another. If you lose the employee because you choose to comply and not pay a fine, then there's a cost. And if you choose to not comply, there's a cost. You just have to make a decision.
Jim, in Atlanta, Delta Airlines, a couple of weeks ago, charging employees, was it a couple $100 if you're not vaccinated?
Exactly. And what I'm hearing right now is the insurance companies are going, and maybe even Medicare and some of the social programs, that the fees will go up for the non-vax people. That's been being discussed. It's being discussed in legislative forums. It's being discussed in private industry forums. Yep. Like I say, my opinion doesn't count.
No,
I would never force anybody to be vaccinated.
I don't think the cost is really, the issue that I'm hearing. I think it's just more of the fact that someone's going to leave, and the testing and the insurance cost. I mean, those are absorbed, and that's a cost, like you said. So it's a cost of doing business. But the fact if somebody wheels their box out of there and goes someplace else, the impact of that is significant.
They take
Well,
their box and go somewhere else. It's you
you
can't
have
afford
to.
it.
It's
no
like anything
different than
else.
your top two salespeople.
If you look at it like anything else in our industry, anything, I don't care what it is, you cannot utilize an effective growth strategy when you are constantly choosing short-term pleasure over long-term gain. And making people feel good and making bad decisions for your business is not how you run a business. And some people's feelings are going to get hurt, and we're going to lose employees, whether it's because they die or because they don't want to get vaxxed or because whatever it is. But we have to look at the big picture, because ultimately, when you're running a business, it's your fault if somebody can't put food on their table at the end of the night. And if it means that they had to take 2 weeks off for quarantine because you let a bunch of people run around the dealership doing whatever and didn't install a rule, then fair or not fair, that's not your role. That is short-term pleasure over long-term gain, and you're not going to get anywhere with that.
Yep.
We're going to see it happen more widespread, but the rebellion that we're going to see from it is going to be just as strong. And so maybe you end up with, places that are like, why work here? What's the work perk used to be like? I got a day off, I can celebrate my birthday. And now it's like, hey, you can come to work and not die. That'll be fun, huh? And then over here, it's like, dude, you're cool. It's like, fine. Like, let's wild west this like we're Texas. Somebody grab their gun and we're just going to like run around with a vision board. It's going to be crazy.
Well, vax and mask are the two hottest issues in the industry right now. We're talking about the chip shortage and the crash, but the chip shortage and the crash are not as serious an issue as the vax and mask issue because of the threat of losing our people.
No, it's not even that. It's that we right now, psychology says, you can look it up. It's not my opinion. Psychology says, especially right now, we are living in a world where everything is spinning out of control. And the only way to feel like we have a handle on something is to control something. So if something as simple as if I put a face mask on, if I can control that, then I own one little piece of something that's spinning everywhere. We can't control the chip shortage. Not one of us on this call, we can give an opinion, we can give an idea, but we can't actually control that. As business owners and influencers and leaders in our industry, we do get to have some control and some influence in situations like this. And that's why it's a hot topic, because it's a choice.
Okay, I don't want to stay on this subject forever. I got some other ideas. Okay, now, Toyota got all upset 2 weeks ago because at the Paralympics, one of our autonomous Toyota vehicles ran over a Paralympian. I mean, when you run over a Paralympian kid with an autonomous vehicle,
Bueno.
Okay.
The story writes itself.
See, I have always been scratching my body on both ends, wondering why the hell autonomous vehicles. Everybody wants to be like the Jetsons. We're flying around in vehicles that drive themselves, fly themselves, whatever. But there never was a public mandate for autonomous vehicles. I don't see anybody in the public ever jump up and scream, "Boy, I wish I had a self-driving car." This is all the manufacturers. Now autonomous and EV is every other page in automotive news.
I'm excited about EV.
Okay, I'm going to go to DJ first. DJ, autonomous vehicles, electric vehicles. Everybody's building a battery plant. Ford just invested $7 billion in 2 southeastern campuses. Everybody's jumping on electric vehicles and autonomous vehicles. Our pizzas are going to be delivered in autonomous pizza vehicles. Talk about it.
Well, I think they're two different issues. I think the autonomous is not much of a conversation topic in meetings. I think the electric certainly is. The sustainability of our service departments is certainly a big topic on this. But the early indications, certainly from the Bolt and stuff like this, we're having some serious quality issues, and and this is a problem. So I think this goes into more of the relationship with the factory, and the dealers on this type of stuff, because this is a serious hot topic right now with GM dealers and General Motors, with the Bolt.
Oh, it's a serious, yeah. And now they're coming out with the Cadillac Lyric, that they're putting all the money on it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just Jeff Schreier.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. How much are you stepping up on buying used EV vehicles?
You know, we've done a pretty good job with them. We've done real well with Tesla in particular. And I do whatever I need to do to get the next one. They just don't sit long.
Really?
No, they turn well.
I did not know the answer.
Totally
I did
different
not know
for
the
us.
answer. Okay, talk about it, Patrick.
No, I have at one of our stores, we have a 2021 Model X with 400 miles. It's almost 90 days old, and I have it priced perfectly because we have a Tesla, whatever they call that crap, right down the street from our dealership. And we don't sell them. We just cannot. Every time I get one, they sit for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. Whereas, you know, I can turn a Dodge Charger over in 3 days. You know,
I'll take that off your hands, and I'll sell it to Jeff before we're done on this call.
No,
Marketing is different.
I'm going to say that this is pure propaganda. You know, electric, autonomous, right? What you're witnessing is the government interference with free market, right? I am yet, like Jim said, to meet a consumer who says, I can't wait for this self-driving car, right? And again, look at numbers, right? Look at registrations of electrical vehicles, right? And if you take out, I mean, even with California, it's under 2%. You take out California, it's probably less than 0.5% nationwide for whatever reason, right? So let the market economy work itself out. Right, and if GM is feeling suicidal, right, and they want to go all electric by 2030 or
wow, Max.
Right, all I'm going to say is this: just short their stock. There is another bankruptcy coming.
You know, and another thing, you know, I was reading.
Wait a minute, yeah, hang on. I want to jump on Brett Sutherlin here a second. Brett, are you guys stepping up on pre-owned Leafs?
We're not. In fact, if you look at all 7 stores, their oldest aged inventory is a Leaf. The only time I saw them sell, Jim, was, you probably remember, years ago in Georgia. Georgia had a $7,500 tax credit. I believe it was.
Yep.
And you know, you could sell them left and right, but it was a problem. You were making nothing in financing, and there's zero service profits coming from those cars whatsoever. So,
all the Leaf buyers are at Birkenstocks and socks.
With Patrick, we take it.
Don't show your age. I'm saying, like, it's crazy that everybody gets so worked up about this, and like, this is like one of the few things that Max and I are so different on. It blows my mind that everybody is so scared of this. Like, get over it.
It's not a fear.
No, it is. It's because
it's not. That's absurd.
That is absolutely.
It's not fear.
That is
absurd. Here's why. Okay, here's why. This is an industry that struggled to hire and retain millennials because they weren't sure how to lead them because they're so different. Who's your consumer in the next 10 to 15 years long term? It's our kids. And I'll tell you what they're driving. They're driving electric vehicles. They're pushing for climate change.
No, they're not.
They drive
little trucks, and all my salespeople are millennials. They drive Mercedes.
They
drive electric vehicles.
Not in your
Slow down. Listen, you're already past millennial. We're already done with that. That's not the consumer industry here.
Jennifer, correct her.
I was actually correcting Patrick.
Exactly.
Because just because your market, you don't see it, doesn't mean and again, I have a lot of Highline EVs in my crew that I'm working with, and we're seeing great, but I mean, we're talking about day and night. We're not talking about Chevy Volts or Bolts. We're talking about Porsche Taycans, and we're talking about e-trons, and we're talking about a lot of different things. And we are seeing growth in that segment, but we didn't have any type of inventory to attract those buyers really before 12 months ago. Let's be honest. Tesla, maybe a BMW, there wasn't a lot of inventory to attract different types of buyers. And when it started, it was like a Greenpeace hippie kind of thing. But have you seen the new e-tron? Like
sexy.
That
yes,
is
we have a 2022, as a matter of fact.
It's the new beard. It's really sexy.
So guys, I want to say something to agree with Brett, right? Because Brett mentioned that, you know, when there was a $7,500 rebate, these Leafs were flying off the shelf like hotcakes, right? So I just Googled what country sells the most Teslas, right? And it's Norway. You know why? Because Norway has the highest tax rebate, right? This is a pure example, right?
Wait a second, Max. Norway sells more Teslas than anybody in the world?
Correct.
Okay.
So this is a pure example of government interference with market economy, because you take away that tax rebate that Norway government distributes on every sale, and you go from Tesla being best-selling car to Tesla being the least-selling car.
Let me go to Brett a second, because Brett, of all the people on the broadcast, has the most dealerships. And, we're talking about franchise stores right now. And I'm going to go to DJ next because he's dealing with the most dealers. How many charging stations do we need?
Well, let me just back up real quick, because this is an interesting point what Max had. Jim, if you go back 5 years and look at at what state sold more electric vehicles than any state in the country, Georgia, when they had the $7,500 tax credit, was number one, above California. So there's some truth there. Yeah,
and then when they disappeared the tax credit, where did that go?
We sold at the highest point at the Mall of Georgia 130 Leafs in a month, and when that tax credit went away, we went from 130 to 6 the following month.
What is the range on a Leaf right now?
At the time, it was 100 miles, 110 miles. Five years ago, if you recall that, Patrick.
You couldn't get the city limit to city.
It doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry. It's not a
If
fear.
it was the same
It's
amount
not
of
logic.
yes,
It doesn't
is.
make sense.
It's absolutely a fear because everybody doesn't understand it. They're like, "Oh, it's different. It's not the same." And Max is right. Yeah, there is market things going on right there, but we spiff all the time. We all understand how commission works, right? And every time you sell a car with a rebate on it from the OEM, are you changing the market that way? We are afraid of things that are different. There's no reason that both
I
of these
wish
types
you'd
of
have
cars
been
can't
born in
coexist.
my generation. You'd have been a flower child.
Yeah, let me tell you guys, I'm getting ready to launch a major partnership with an EV dealer. Major. Didn't even close them yet. Had the call yesterday. Now I'm going to work extra hard to close it because I want to really see the variance here and have it not be opinion.
Okay,
But I think
let's
it's
get
exciting.
you there. Let's get you there because
Yes.
the infrastructure is going to be incredible. To have all the charging stations, everything set up. The text, we haven't got the text to work on these things. I mean, it's going to be amazing.
If we had the same amount of charging stations as we had gas stations, we wouldn't need to worry about how many miles you get in between.
Well,
Yeah,
here's
whoever just posted
here's
that on
another
Facebook
side
is
of it.
exactly right. Look at that
Yeah.
Facebook comment.
But
Here's
once
another
upon a time, we didn't even have gas stations. You had a truck
Exactly.
for your horse and buggy. So what did we do then? Evolve and adapt.
This isn't scary. It's just something different. Like, I'll bet you Max will be able to come up with an amazing reinsurance plan for EV vehicles, so he'll embrace it, but maybe not. And if he doesn't, that's cool.
I already have it.
Exactly. So see, this is not a thing. I don't know why there's so much fear-based selling in this, except that we don't understand it. That's
No, it's not
the
fear-based selling. This is logical.
Right. And listen,
There's
if you
room
look
to
at it
go.
from the engineering perspective, right, we as humanity, right, we accomplish incredible feats with fossil fuels, right? Look how much emissions went down. I mean, just look at any car from 2021 and compare it to a car from 1980. This is a day and night in terms of mile consumption, in terms of emissions. And to say, this is all bad and this is no good and we have to switch and immediately, like GM says, go 100% electric, I think it's an insult to a consumer's choice. It's an insult to engineers, and it's just not right. There has to be choice. Let the market work itself out.
Let me ask
But
you.
no other OEMs are saying they're going 100%, right?
Okay,
not
DJ. Hey, DJ's on the big screen. DJ, what are your dealers saying?
Well, I think there's a little bit of truth in what everybody's saying here. I think when you get in a room full of, 20 to 25 dealers from all over the country, certainly the California dealers, the Michigan dealers, the East Coast dealers are going to have a little bit more acceptance of where we're going. When we're in Texas and New Mexico and where I'm at in Arizona, there's going to be some demand. It's not going to be certainly as much as what we probably anticipate. I do think Max is right. I think some of the incentives have driven some of the growth to a degree. But the infrastructure, and somebody made a comment earlier, the current infrastructure is going to push back a little bit because of the cost of this. And I think more, again, I go back to, there's a couple issues that are kind of underlying on this thing here, and the relationship between the OEMs and the dealers right now is okay because of the profits on both ends. But the EV is putting up new dealer agreements on some of this stuff, that they're changing the rules on how we're doing this, and all of a sudden now we have new rules that the dealer has to apply, to their stores on some of this stuff, and it's not necessarily a good thing. When the rules change, it is one side. It goes towards the factory.
Well,
so,
and I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry, DJ.
No, and I think that's the big issue when we're going to change the way floor plan is handled. We're going to change the way is who's paying your employee to sell this car, and all this type of stuff, and what we're going to pay you if we have a warranty situation. The dealers become jaded. They're not as excited about it, especially when you want us to build something in our operation. I've got the biggest group out of Vegas, the Finley group, and I talked with these guys quite a bit about this, and the cost of what they have to go through to be compliant is significant, for how much of a market share we don't know.
Well, not only that, I mean, here's and this goes back into Max's point of it's not a fear of this, okay? It's happening regardless, because if we don't do it and we don't do it on our own, the government's going to force it down our throats anyway. Has anybody read anything about what they're proposing with the vehicle mileage tax? If you're not driving an electric vehicle, there's going to be a vehicle mileage tax on gas vehicles every single year when you get your emissions done. You're going to get a bill from IRS or from the federal government saying, hey, here's how much you have to pay because you don't have an EV vehicle. It's coming regardless. It's not a fear of it. It's almost like you're frustrated because they're forcing it again on us. I hate that idea that everybody's jumping on this because it's coming from Capitol Hill and they're forcing it down the line. I just think it's terrible. I think it is a terrible way to treat.
Yeah. How's that any different?
Okay, guys. Okay.
No, I'm curious.
Okay. Wait.
You throw out some controversy, and then we're surprised when we get all lit up over
What's
it.
printed that today? I didn't pull that out of my ass.
We have worn this topic out. We've worn it out. It's not going to go any farther. Okay. Yeah, I've got one of the biggest Nissan dealers in the country on the broadcast today. Let me ask you a question, Brett. How is the dealer satisfaction with the Nissan Corporation doing right now? Have they
much better? I've seen a big change for the better in the last 2 years.
That's what I was going to ask, because Nissan was notorious for always coming up dead last in dealer satisfaction. So now all of a sudden, I do business still with a lot of Nissan dealers. I'm hearing a lot better attitude of dealers toward the manufacturers. The manufacturer, what's changed?
Well, the management changed, and with that, I've seen quite a bit of. I've seen the dealer satisfaction turn around. So, the management changes that have happened to Nissan. Nissan's top guy went to Hyundai. We're now in the Hyundai business as well. I think it was a direct management approach. And I think that it has been straightened out right now. I see satisfaction growing at all 7 of the Sutherlin Nissan stores, and that doesn't seem to be plaguing us any longer.
I'm hearing that with the OR organization out of Louisiana, Texas. I've been friends and clients with all the OR stores for probably 35 years. So absolutely, and I'm hearing that coming out of that client as well. So, DJ, what are you hearing?
Well, I think that there's a lot of dealers right now that are not sales effective, sales efficient, and I think that's worrisome for a lot of people right now. And that comes back to the trust of, when we break free of whatever we're in right now, and it's good times. What does that look like in terms of growth? What does that look like in terms of, having site control of your operation and, potentially transitioning it to somebody, or maybe growing and you're not sales effective. I've got a dealer right now that's not, and he's trying to grow his operation, and the other franchise say no. So I think look, everybody's making money. Dealerships have never made more money and the factories have never made more money. But have we relinquished some control of our operations to the factory?
Okay, now I'm going to go over to now this is going to amaze you here. I'm going to talk to my buddy Jeff Schreier. If you look at Jeff Schreier's office, I mean, he's looking at how many screens are in front of you right now, big boy?
6.
He's got 6 screens and a big screen TV. He's got all this tech. This guy's sitting there like the Starship Enterprise.
Great hair. You have great hair, Jeff.
Thank you.
I mean, he is absolutely tuned in.
Well, Jim, you brought it up at the very beginning. I personally eat, sleep, and breathe used car inventory every day, 24/7.
I knew that. That's why I asked you.
My GM, he runs the store. I don't get too involved unless they need something. I sit here all day. I manage this inventory, watch the age, and you got to be buying. And some dealers go, oh, maybe you need to slow down. Inventory was tough to get before all this stuff started.
Right.
So what's going to change? It's a while before these manufacturers are geared back up to what is the new norm? When is the new norm? So to answer your question, my inventories, I truly believe every store has got to have somebody that aren't just working car deals. They're just managing that inventory every day.
I'm talking to 100 dealer principals a month, either on the keyboard or on the telephone. And inventory acquisition is the number one thing that dealers need to be concentrating on right now. Getting more cars. And some of the big groups like the Walzers and such have dedicated managers who are inventory acquisition managers that do nothing else. And here you, the dealer principal of a large independent, you are doing acquisition all day long. How many auctions are on your screen right now?
Well, currently 0.
Okay.
We appreciate your attention.
But you got my full attention, Jim. Back before this pandemic, I had 10, 15 lanes running at a time every day. But with what's gone on, I just totally switched from buying at auction to buying off the street. Now, could I buy more cars right now? Yeah, if I was putting my arm up at the auction, but I'm not going to pay what they're bringing, on top of the auction fee, on top of the transport fee. So I've shifted gears on how I do
all this other stuff. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go back to DJ for a second. Now you talk to DJ quite often. Here's the boy right here. DJ, what are your dealers doing for acquisition?
Well, I mean, they've got to be better than what they have been traditionally in this business. They've got to trade for more. They've got to have a great trade-in process. They got to get management involved. They got to stop putting green pea salespeople out there delivering numbers to customers. And can't defend why we put 12.8 on a car. So we got to establish a process and make it better. This should be a manager, somebody who is very well armed and trained to let that customer know how important it is that we acquire your car, whether you buy that car from us or not.
The next question I wanted to ask you, and the reason I put you on the big screen was digital retail.
Mm-hmm.
How big a factor is digital retail? How big is it going to be?
Well, it's huge, and you got some experts on this panel right now. But I think with everybody sitting at home, for so long, and the presence of Amazon, and dealers are not very good at this, and I say that kind of blatantly, it's not fair. But every time we have somebody who is good at it, and we can see the results from it in the book, the pens on the paper is huge. Everybody's writing down notes on how they could be better at this, and
right.
And there's no reason why we can't, and we need to be better at this. And it goes back to, we gotten in bad habits a little bit, and this is a self-correction time right now. We should be able to be better retailing cars digitally.
Well, one thing I'm saying to dealers right now, and I talk to a lot of dealers.
I missed that.
I was going to say we're habitual creatures. It's easier to continue what we already know than it is to embrace what we know will work when we're not certain on how to implement it.
Right. So Jim, I want to go back to the used car thing for just a second.
Let's go back.
You know, just for 1 second. And this is a very important point. Is there is not a more significant transaction in the dealership than a used car retail. Okay, we affect more paychecks in the store if there's commission based. You know, between the labor and the parts and the F&I and the sales growth. And we have to be great at this. Okay, because at some point we're not going to get 50% of our dealership profits coming from new. You know, and you know, so we've have to live out of the trade-ins because we always had 500, 130 months a day supply of new cars out there. We don't have that anymore. So now we have to be great at doing what Jeff does as an independent used car operator to go find vehicles. And I want to make this point. In a meeting recently, we were kind of asked the question, who's got outside buyers? And everybody went around, yeah, I got one. I don't really like it. It's not working for me. I got around to a dealer and he says, I've got 92 of them. I've got 92 employees in my store and I pay them to go find me vehicles. And he went through the process.
Beautiful.
You know, so that's what we all have to be.
Exactly.
That's a mindset answer. That was not even a what's my process. That was a true mindset of how a culture is shifting and running answer. And that's what it needs to be. It's what it's needed to be for a long time, but especially right now.
I agree.
Yep.
Okay, so Patrick, you had something you wanted to say.
No, I mean, I agree. You know, I agree with, with what DJ was saying. You know, we have, like, for our group, we have, the owner does a lot of buying, but we have like 15 to 18 buyers for our 6 stores that go out and acquire inventory. A lot of times, what we'll have is, you'll see that we have a 2022 e-tron, which you can barely get at an Audi dealership, right? Mm-hmm. We were able to acquire that vehicle through this network of buyers that we have through their network. And it's allowed us to really keep, our inventory levels at an area where we can keep selling cars and continue to be profitable. I mean, I have 146 on the ground at the store I'm at today. And these are all Highline used cars, you know what I mean? And we're priced very well on them within the market. And we're selling them, so, but again, we have to keep buying. We keep buying them. We keep buying them. And then we don't ever run down because of the network of buyers that we do have. And I think it's important.
Brett, how are you?
You're up in Chateau Alon, so you see the Sutherlin Nissan commercials on television. We've directed, so instead of cutting back on ad dollars, we have shifted our ad dollars to advertise for buying cars. Having creative, clever ideas to buy cars. We're spending the same money today that we were spending last year. The year before. So we haven't cut back that ad budget. We've just shifted the focus, and that has worked wonders for us, for people coming in and for us buying inventory. So, it's a strategy that's worked at, all 12 locations across the
How about digital retailing? What are you guys doing?
Well, I mean, obviously I own Fusion Zone as well. We've got 1,000 dealers there. I'll be candid with you. I think the products that are out are lacking from a technology perspective. If you look at, and until that,
very nice.
Until that's addressed, I think there is a good piece of digital retailing technology in the market right now. And the first person that comes to the table with that is going to win. I mean, if you compare what, from Roadster to all the different things that are out there, and then just go look at what CarMax has developed internally exclusively from their own IP, CarMax blows the doors off of everybody.
Yep.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, CarMax is. I've gone through the process of it. This is something that I learned from Bobbie. Is go through what your customers are going through, the process that they go through. I went through the process, just got to the end of it, and it is. I mean, you want to talk about easy? I mean, it is easy and it's lightning quick.
It is. I mean, and until technology gets to that point in the dealership level, it's going to continue to fail.
What I'm telling dealers right
at
now,
that point, it's just not been embraced and utilized yet to where there's just not something on our platter. But outside of automotive, there's incredible technology happening that could already be utilized in our space. But
I'm telling dealers right now, and DJ, will go back to you. Bobbie, I'm going to give you the floor in a second. But anyway,
I'm low energy today. I'm sick.
What I'm telling dealers right now is start looking at the vendor. Don't turn these vendors away. You got your gatekeepers turning away some of the new technologies because you're stuck with the old technologies, and the old technologies are obsolete. And you don't even know any better. Mr. Dealer, Mrs. Dealer, you don't know any better because you haven't looked at anything. You keep
I'm
sticking
installing
with
a new one, and it's going live 10/1 that I'm really excited about.
what is it?
Web buy.
Web
Built
buy.
by Rimrock Automotive Group.
Okay, if
So-
you tell me that a vendor is worthwhile, I would buy it if I was a dealer because
I would too.
So they were my number one pick. So 2 years ago, I took on the project of vetting a bunch of DR tools for my primary, like my day job, I guess, right? And I interviewed 17 different companies and did a weighted spreadsheet. Several of them have tried to buy it from me, feature by feature, who does what, links of the demo. And my issue with calling it digital retailing for most of them is that it's not. There's no way to actually buy the
It's
car
like artificial
online.
intelligence. Everybody claims it. Nobody's got it.
It's just a lead generator. It's a conversion widget for your website, but I've been very excited. And this technology was my number one pick. But what they did, and it's actually been out, it's 8 years old, I believe 8. And if they're watching, they can correct me. But they built it in their own stores first and broke it. Like they didn't even come to market for like 5 years with it.
Yeah.
So automatic trade payoffs. So it will connect based off of the VIN or the account, how people are doing it in real time, get real offers, take deposits, truly end to end. And that's what I was tasked to do, is find an end to end
And
solution.
you are not receiving any kickbacks from these people. This is strictly
No, but I
Right.
sure hope I'm going to sell a lot more cars at the store that's going live on
Web buy.
10/1.
Web buy, huh?
Web buy. Okay, if you said it, I'll look at it.
You should
Absolutely.
look at it.
Let me
I'm
continue.
going to try
let
and
me-
figure out how to schedule a demo immediately with it, because that
Let
sounds.
me continue my
especially if
rant.
you
Let me
vetted it.
continue my rant. What I'm saying to dealers right now, and DJ make notes. What I'm telling dealers right now, your gatekeepers are turning away some of the best new technologies out there. You are so stuck on what you've always done, and you're really not even, you don't even like your technology. You just like the representative.
Right.
Yeah.
You just like who sold it to you. Because I've seen that over and over again. The representative leaves, and all of a sudden the dealer comes out of a fog and realizes they got a crappy product. All of a sudden. Start looking at everything because it's changed. The old technologies that you have are putting Band-Aids on everything they can't do.
Billables.
Their platforms were never designed to do this. As Brett Sutherlin just pointed out, they were never designed to do this. And he mentioned Roadster. Roadster is probably the best of the bunch right now. And there's a lot of them out there. Jennifer says no, but it doesn't matter which one's the best of the bunch. They're all better than what you're now using, Mr. and Mrs. Dealer. They're all better than what you got. So take a look at what's available. Now we're getting down to the last 2 minutes. So we're not going to take up any new subjects or any more conversation on the old subjects. All I'm going to ask you right now is, DJ, did you have a decent meeting? Did you enjoy the show today?
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I thought it was great. A lot of great topics. Hopefully it was beneficial for everybody that's watching.
Well, see, we don't get that many viewers on the initial broadcast, but watch the replays on this thing. The replays go through the roof.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad to have you, old friend. I mean, we got a lot of history, which when I talk about history, here's some history.
Uh-oh.
Hello, big guy. How did it go for you today?
You know what? I think there's a lot of great things that came out of today. Everybody seemed to hit on some different things. It's interesting to hear the agreement to disagree on certain things with EVs, but at the end of the day, everybody's got to do what works for them. And it was a good show, Jim. Thank you.
Oh, I'll have you back. Once again, here's a guy that I've dealt with for generations. There's a couple people in this panel. I knew you when you were kids.
That's right.
Oh, golly. How was it for you today, Brett? Did you get, was it a good
Very
experience?
good. Yeah, no, I enjoyed the conversation a lot. I think there's a lot of people in agreement with a lot of different topics, and I really appreciate you having me on the show, Jim.
Fantastic. And I'll have you back. I hope everybody will come back. So as we get ready to sign off, Bobbie, you okay?
I'm just sick today, so I'm like low energy and not feeling good.
Oh yeah, well you sort of bit a
I mean, I
couple
hate
of
to
us.
see you on a high energy day.
I was
He's cranky.
that's
He gets
sad.
bossy and cranky.
Okay,
It doesn't feel well.
I do.
Okay, so I described you in the write-up as a contrarian. Did you catch that?
I know, but I want to make sure that people understand that I don't make a living being a contrarian. I make a living selling F&I products.
Okay. Well, anyway, buy your books on Amazon, right? That's Max Zanan, Zanan. He's got 4 books. The one I like best is Crazy Shit That Car Dealers Do. That was a great book.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody, wave goodbye.